Welcome back, audience. Welcome to my studio. I would like to babble a little more about the difference of will because I think it's so essential. It is, at the essence, the correct will versus corrupt will. Right now, super important. It's unbelievable. But look, what I'm talking about is two approaches to life. One is do as you wilt, and another one is thy will be done. Essentially, that's what we're talking about. Now, do as they wilt basically means do whatever fuck you want. Don't have to pay your dues. You don't have to, alchemize the energies. Ignore your ego. Do what ego wants to do, and use all the possible tools necessary for that will to be done. Okay, that's the type of success that's been sold by the Aleister Crowley and alike, like esoteric teachings, right? And you recognize that movement by this distorted Star of David. Okay? It is basically a will is trying to take over the truth, right? And of course, might isn't right. Right is might. Okay? So it does work. Do as you will does work. Okay? Temporarily. It is a scam. I mean, he was calling himself like Beat 66. Excuse me, Beat 6. Excuse me. What the fuck am I saying? Beast 666. See, I can't even say it. And running by that law, that do as you will is the law, basically. It's the whole law. Now, of course, it's not the fucking law. You know? It's not the law. It works temporarily. Right? But what happens? Because it implies that, like, well, the universe is not intelligent. You can just do what the fuck you want and you will be able to get away with it. No, you won't. Temporarily, yes, maybe. But when the chicken's gonna come home to roost, oh my God. You see what I'm trying to say? No one escapes from doing evil. Nobody. And that's what happened, like, towards the end of his life. Like, what the fuck was? There's nothing left. He was a heroin addict and complete waste of life. It was because there's nothing of value was there in the first place. It was all a manipulation of the reality through the mind without ever looking upon it itself. Okay? And so then, of course, other people took this and ran with this, and because that's the law, or like you do whatever the fuck you want, and there's no wrong or right. It's whatever you just fucking intend to happen. And then whatever you intend to happen, you can do all sorts of manipulation of energies for that to be more likely to happen and whatnot, and shit like that. And you go into this dark magic, this occult magic. Now, I can promise you, every single person who dabbled into this, the price they're going to pay is going to be excruciating. No one's going to do this for them. You understand? No one's going to... they're going to have to go through this pain, horrifying, because I know what's waiting for them. And it's absolutely terrifying and horrifying, right? This is when the law comes into being and basically lights everything up and says, okay, this is the true law. Now let's see what the balances say. And every person who's been doing this, do as you will, is going to be so freaking heavy that I don't envy enemies. I feel sorry for them. So that is the law. You see? That is the law. Now, if, you know, if the law is not online, or it has a lag before it kicks in, then this or an opinion is like, oh, this works, so why does it work if it is not a law, right? That's the idea. It's like we might as well just go crazy and do whatever the fuck we want, like just like this latest Rick and Morty episode, which was fucking funny. Like, oh my god, you gotta watch it. There's a bunch of freaking juveniles with trust fund, you know, trust fund funded aliens and whatever, you know, juvenile aliens, doing whatever the fuck they want, and Jesus fucking God. I don't know. There's a part where they lighting someone's farts on fire, and they giving birth to the fart baby by accident, who only drinks beer, by the way. You know, shit like that. You know, it's funny, but you know, you you don't want this to be real. So, but anyway, you may say, well, why is there no feedback? Why is there this feedback is so delayed? I don't fucking know why it's so delayed, but it's there. It's maybe it's to catch the ones who trying to get away. It's a trap to evil people. The reality is essentially ultimately a trap, and it filters out like anybody who does evil. When this coherent energy grid comes on, the law is home, you know, the daddy is back. Let's look at the balances now. Nobody's gonna get away. This is what's happening right now. The justice is being served. The judgment day is here, and I know it's not like I like it. You know, there's a part of me obviously happy to see the people no longer getting away with this dark shit. I really, you know, of course, naturally, and having this change of perception too, to say like, oh, wait a second, it doesn't work like that. Do as you will is not a law, because I get away with it for a little bit, but they're still gonna have to pay the price. But I'm gonna have to pay the price in suffering, right? So, okay, so maybe before I go out and do whatever the fuck I want, I look at that part that tells me to do so, that desire, and see what is there if I just keep my attention there. And maybe that is how, not maybe, but that is how you're paying the price for the thing that you want. Look, you deserve to have the things that you want in life. But the law is that there is a right way to do it and there is a wrong way to do it. Do as you will is a wrong way to do it. It has a tremendous punishment at the end of your game. Not many people survive that. You understand? That's pretty much, they end up depending on some drug or something. That's how bad it gets. Now, if a person does not survive that, they usually develop cancer, or they get in some sort of, you know what I'm trying to say. These evildoers do not survive. When the daddy's home, they don't survive. Most of them. Some, you know, do end up beginning to work through their bullshit that they created and so-called repenting, you know, and break through back into the wholesome or holistic perspective. Okay? Some of them, very few, that can do that. Every little pleasure that they receive from, this abominable success is going to be in a form of pain for them to go through. Imagine that. That's how you settles. That's how universe settles account. Any unearned pleasure at the cost of somebody else, at the cost of somebody else's, it's going to be. You see. And I don't want to see the people who are just keep on harping on the same thing, on some sort of fucking belief system, and you can clearly see that they're getting fucking psychotic because the energy within them is not allowing that to do this, but they're so fucking stubborn that they're gonna have to burn themselves up. And honestly, like, if a person is that stubborn and is not listening, they deserve to go through this. This is it. If you don't fucking listen and you keep on harping this, do as you will, it will end for you real badly and for others who are joining this thing. Okay? It will happen. It's already happening. This is why you're getting psychotic. You see? It's already, the pressure's already coming for you, and it's kind of giving you feedback that is instant. You say something that is bullshit, pay the price. You do something that is bullshit, you pay the price immediately. You get the feedback immediately. You hurt somebody, and derive pleasure from it. That comes back to you immediately. I know that everybody, all these fucking witches and all these fucking warlocks and all of these assholes and all these gullible fools who never investigated consciousness beyond some esoteric book are going through this. I know this. And basically, I'm making this video like just to say that it's time to look deeper and understand what is actually the law. Just because you got away with this bullshit and it worked, it stops working now. It does not work anymore. You got to fucking learn now and understand that it's always been a different way to do the things right. You deserve what you want, but how you get it matters. You can get it correct way, you can get it the incorrect way, or corrupt way. I know that the way it works right now, you try to do this and you get fucking whacked back into your face for doing it wrong. The feedback is immediate right now, or getting closer and closer. So enough of these. But look at what the fuck YouTube happened. YouTube became just one big fucking ad. What the fuck is that? With the exception of few people who are still speaking from the heart and not some algorithm whore, not clickbaiting with some fucking nonsense, not, you see what I'm trying to say, like, okay? I'm not gonna make any more of these videos. I'm making this video. Hopefully, if the people who are listening, they're already listening. People who are not listening, I'm just not gonna be bothered with that fact anymore. I tried, I still see people and say, like, hey, don't you see what's going on? Like, look at your behavior, and they don't listen. They don't reflect. They see, like, well, it's like, no, I'm just fixated. This is me. I do whatever I want, and this is me. No, but you have never even fucking looked at your own self. You don't know what is you. What kind of will is running through you. Okay. All right then, we've been warned. Know what I'm saying? There is there's a right way of doing things. Again, um, going wrong once is normal because how the fuck are you gonna know what's right if without going wrong? But once is enough. I know that people like Aleister Crowley and all these other esoteric teachers that they never punch through the deeper layers of consciousness, and they never try. Jung included, all these people, they never punched through this. They all remained on the level of will, and and they just talked about all these archetypes and stuff like that, but they weren't living it. They, you see what I'm trying to say, like these were all demonic people, all Luciferian driven. All their success was Luciferian driven. I know it doesn't look good, but I know that towards the end of life, the chicken came home to roost, and the realization was there, and I know that they wished they never wrote those books, um, and or wrote a different book and say like, hey, I was wrong all along. Don't do this because it's gonna fuck you up. you know, I don't know what else to say, but thy will shall be done. Thy will be done, but do as you will be punished severely. It already is. So this is why it's so important to get to the level of coherence through alchemy. And now it's like the war for your attention. Your attention must be always on alchemizing and shining that good light. And maybe I'll make some more videos about this this energy of will that goes into your imagination, and the energy of will that goes into your uh, uh, intellect, technically, because the energy, I call it vital. This red energy, the blue energy, I call it mana. And then there's this colorful and perlamutra energy, I call it philosopher's stone, or and this is many names, but those are real structures of consciousness that can be directly experienced. And there. Now, one thing I want to say: the people who don't are not making it. When you're logged into this reality, you are under the laws of this reality. Now, if you don't make it, you come out of it. There's and you didn't make it. It's not like, okay, what's gonna happen is somebody else gonna have to deal with the crap that you left behind. It doesn't work like that. That you just like take it, with you. You don't. If you still stuck into this thing, because some souls, like especially if you listen to Robert Monroe and all of his adventures, some souls get stuck into this motion of fear and not realizing that they're dead already, and they're just moving in astral in in this event of their life cyclically running over and over again. And then some souls come in and help them out, and if they've done some bad shit in their life, there's helped them to to understand what they've done and what kind of character they were playing, and so on. But all that shit that they leave behind, somebody gonna have to work through this. This is why, like, if you kill somebody evil, you better know, or you better have the capacity to alchemize that energy. And so this is what's going on right now. It's like this new energy that's coming online, that high level of coherence. It's basically almost like lighting up like like cockroaches, and everybody where they were hiding now are just coming out into the surface and burning up. And some try to save themselves and going out there and say like, hey, I am ex CA psyop, but now I'm gonna help you. No, you're still doing the same fucking thing, and you're not gonna get away with this. This is not repenting. That might be too late for you. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is that the crap that they leave behind after they die, somebody's gonna have to clean it up. And I think that this is the game. If you stay here on this planet and you don't fix your ways, the staying here is going to be so insufferable for you that you're not going to want to be here. Okay? And if you don't want to be here subconsciously or consciously, nature will find a way to take you out. So, I don't know what else to say, but this isn't something, like a threat or anything. This is just the law. And you cannot bullshit this. You cannot gimmick yourself out of it. You cannot, do another some vanity-driven bullshit and say I'm helping people. This can only be done through your own attention, putting where it is and where it belongs on the crap that you've been avoiding, It's like, no, I'm right, like, I'm right. Well, look at it then. Look at it. Let's see if you were right. You see? That do as you will. That's the thing. They're shitless scared to look at it because what they see is something abominable, and most people can't take it. So I don't know. It might be that for some people it's too late, but for others not, perhaps. It is happening. I know that if you watch my videos, I know that you can feel it. I know there's all the alchemical challenges it's been going through. I know that how it feels from one week to another. That's black tar lava thing that we've been handling for like the last 2 weeks. Now it's changing into a different one. This one is now more of that was like a corrupt feminine. Now we're going to the corrupt masculine, which is more about like this pain and that centered thing that needs a different type of attention now. We dealt with this black tar lava, sometimes I call it like poison. It feels like a burning poison. But with the right attention, you can alchemize it. So now we have another challenge that comes along. This is happening, right? And if it's here, I have to deal with it, right? Like I'm not saying it's mine or not. Like I don't see that thing anymore. It's my responsibility if it's in my consciousness. Period. And then I want to say this to other people. You say, well, I have not done this evil shit. Why do I have to be, alchemizing something that I've not done? Well, first of all, it is energy. It is coal, but you can crush it into a diamond. So that's why you don't moan. You say, okay, it's been given to me. All this bullshit has been done by somebody else, it's been given to me. Why it's been given, who has been given, is someone evil who just died, or like how all that works, I don't know. But I know it's given to you and it's yours if it's given to you. And if you look at it and it's like, okay, there's more crap coming my way, let me grow some more flowers. And so you look at it as this energy and you keep on, I want to say cultivating. I know that, you see, that's like Krishnamurti was talking about that there is no progress, as he was saying. There's no time, and I understand exactly what he meant, like with not trying to get someone. I understand what he was communicating, that this is not the motion of seeking. This is the motion of full attention on the source of the attention itself, right? The observed kind of thing. Um, and so there's this change, there's a solution that happens there. And this glow, this energy, this beautiful energy, he was sometimes naming it ecstasy and things like that, right? I came to know that there's this Perlamutra bliss energy, rainbow feeling. It just feels like that. Then that doesn't just end there. You have this energy for your imagination and the energy for will. Excuse me, I shouldn't say will, because that's the same will energy for will for imagination and will for action, let's just say, right? Which goes into, anyway, my personal experience is that I feel something in my heart. I feel something in my gut. And I feel something in my head. And those 3 points create a certain type of bliss types. In my gut, I feel it's this red shift energy that I call ecstasy. In my heart, it's this rainbow Perlamutra shining bliss that is kind of almost like a fragrance. Call that bliss. I know it's white light scattering in all the colors. And I know when it's just pure white light and when it's scattering in all the colors. Okay. So I see this as a pure spirit, and already the spirit is reflected into the ether, or moving as an etheric energy. I distinguish those. And then the blue shift, there's another type of bliss energy. There's sometimes I call it awe. Probably better name, or clarity. But it's a type of bliss. And it's needed for the imagination, and the other one is needed for the action. So, and so that's what you get. This is why, like, to me right now, it feels like a bonus round in life where you can collect so many gems, so many points right now, because people that generated all of this coal are dropping it, because they can't handle it. They don't know how to handle it. They went too far. But then you can just collect it and say, hey, thank you for all the manure. I'll grow something valuable in it. You see? Because I know the shit that I have done, and I know when this dark energy is trying to move through me, and the thoughts that are arising, if I don't keep my attention where it belongs, and if I entertain these thoughts, I can see these thoughts sometimes. I'm like, what the fuck? These are really fucked up thoughts. If I just let that energy go, so I cannot let that energy go like that. I have to alchemize it. But are these like my thoughts? These are not coming from my personal life. I've had some shit to deal in my life, but this is just completely different level. I mean, so I don't think that it's even personally related to my personal life. I think this is deeper. This is something that Can say many lifetimes or whatever, but the cleanup is in progress. That's one thing that I can say for sure. I don't know why it was led to go so bad. There's still this momentum where people just kind of stuck in this, and the whole culture is built around this. And even though the feedback is there, but they try to brute force it, and they take some stimulants, some drugs or whatever to keep running that will, right? The will says like, hey, enough. You are, you're hurting yourself. And they say, no, let me just freaking take some drugs and force this will, making it even worse. And then if they crash and then they say, fuck, like I don't want to do anything, then that's not normal, right? Like, oh, that person is checked out. No, that person may be checked out from all this, backwards ass living. And it's normal if you live your life like this, run and you crash. You need to check out from this fucking life. You cannot, like, this is exhausting. It's not life. So you do need to check out for a little bit, and there's a rehabilitation period that you're going through. And look, like, I know that phase. I've been through that phase. You are like a baby. Thank God that there were people around me who were just kind of helping me out, because when you go through this, like, it's like you gotta start to learn walk from scratch again, and almost, sometimes so, literally so. What I'm trying to say. But now that this new will comes along, you don't do anything forced. It must feel quite ecstatic for you to take this action. Otherwise, it's not worth it. If you want to take action and there's blockages, you don't take action because there's blockages. You don't force it. You look at this blockage, you alchemize this, put it in this coherent energy, and now, how does it feel of this idea of taking action? Oh, it feels good. All right, then you take action. You don't take no action unless thy will be done. You forget this, you see. But by living in this way, in this, from this essence of coherence, like, right, all your desires will be fulfilled as a emergent property of you doing the right thing. Okay? It's like, this is why it's about playing the game right. Honestly, like, in the end, like, what becomes obvious is that everything is the game. Everything is this enjoyable, thing. Yes, you do end up getting what you want, but you don't see it as such anymore. You don't see it as like, oh, it's like, how to say it? It might be some things like more of that enjoyment to share. That's what changes, when you get what you want, which is usually what you really want, is to have people and friends around you, and people that love you and you love them, and you co-create and play, and this is it. Whatever that may be. It may be as simple as whatever, like martial arts or dance or whatever, or music or science or some craft, but it's full of meaning, right? And when I say meaning, I really mean the blissful feelings that are associated with that thing. So this is why it feels like there's more that you can share this energy with. If the person comes into your life, which is that what you wanted, then it's like, whoa, there's even more to share with that person. If the thing comes that you wanted, then it's even more of that energy to share with that thing, which is enjoyable, enjoying. If it is some sort of status or symbol that you've been craving for, it is there. Now it's more to enjoy, you know. So I know that some people, to cope with the situation, they go into solipsism and nihilism, and I've had times in my life where that seemed to be a good escape or a good idea. Even you don't think of it as an escape. It's just like, oh, there's only you here, right? There's nobody else. It's only you. It's a ridiculous thing to say. What a lonely, nonsensical perspective of life. There's only you. No, I mean, depends, of course, what you mean by you, but of course it's not there's only you, right? There might be this ethereal energy that we all connected with, that we share, right? If you say that, well, that's me, then if you look at another person and you feel the connection through that energy, then you say, well, that's me too. That's what love is, right? But that person is not literally you. You just share something that is the same as you. But the very fact that there's something that is not you, but sharing something that it is you, is what creates this joy and enjoyable life. This is what makes you a human being. This perspective, this is only me and everybody else is kind of my Muppets, is horrific. It's direct misunderstanding of it's never going and seeing consciousness directly for yourself and just taking another belief and running with it. And that belief may feel good because it gets you off a little bit, Oh yeah, oh okay, but it's still just a belief. It's just me. Nobody is real, and my reality is just me. Everybody's my Muppet. I mean, come on, is this what? How long are you gonna run with this? It's void of love. Then you're deriving pleasure from an idea. Existence has been created in this phenomenal way as it is already. It is not, for you to reconcile it with one perspective. It doesn't work like that. This is why it has these multiple, it is a spectrum, but it also has its own domains. It has domain of the soul, domain of the mind, domain of the body, which are directly experienced by you. This is why, I dropped everything. This is why, sorry, you may not, I mean, you may say, well, the things that you're saying is like it's been written in ancient books a long time ago. So fucking what? If I would have read it in a book, that would be just an idea. And the same thing applies to you. If you have not traversed the territory, your map is not worth anything. You gotta go yourself. Make your own map, okay? And another person is only an invitation for your own adventure. Okay? Because if I'm saying something, I'm saying there's a soul, mind, and body, and you just take this as an idea, it's like, oh yeah, soul, mind, and body. But if you just look at your consciousness directly and say, okay, there's sensations. What kind of sensations do I feel? Okay, I feel this sensation, that sensation, that sensation. What kind of capacity of motion do I have? Okay, I can move this, I can move that, I can move. Okay, so it seems that I have a sensory motor system that I can observe directly. Okay, so that's my body. Okay, so it's just to navigate and move around, and is that what is my body for? And then yeah, it's just sensory motor system. That's all. It's a robot. Fuck, So that's my body, and it runs on this energy. It runs on what feels good and avoids what is bad, and that's legit in the body. Of course, that's completely opposite in the soul. So you look at this domain and you say, like, what's going on there? And then you see, like, there's some, like, for example, like some not feeling there, right? Because you look at, scan your body through all the feelings and you say, what's going on with me in the feelings wise? Oh, I can feel this thing that is not ideal. Put my attention there, hold it there. Intuitively give a right type of attention. And it starts flowing, doing something, and you're like, oh. And then you get to know all sorts of other feelings there and direct experience and say, wow, that's this feeling. This feels like rainbow. This, you see what I'm trying to say? This ecstasy feeling feels different to this feeling of bliss. And then you make your own little map. It will end up being something that's already been created. But who gives a fuck? You have discovered it. You see? Same thing with the mind. Like, what is the mind? And you see, like, oh, so the mind is a spectrum. If the feelings is just like these colors, and there's an energy spectrum, then the mind is how everything is shaped. So if you shape this energy this way, primordially, it takes this geometrical patterns. As the complexity goes, it goes into more of an images. So from the pattern to image, and then goes back into the simplicity and becomes a symbol. And this is what your mind is, basically. From the energy pattern to an image into a symbol. And sometimes a symbol can trigger the image and the energy pattern, or sometimes the energy pattern can trigger the image and the symbol. And it's just like, this is it. And that's my mind. You can see this. I can imagine something, right? Or it could be like a symbol, which, for example, somebody's word. Somebody says something, and that creates an image in my mind. So there's a symbol, created an image. And then if that image goes deep, then it creates the emotional state for me. So that's the energy pattern. And that's nothing else to the mind. And you can say, well, there's like a 7 or 6 layers of the mind and whatnot, and you can study a little bit more through your direct observation. How it all works. But right now we're dealing with a lot of caca. Like, everybody who's doing things wrong are getting spanked right now, and they're learning. I hope they, honestly, they just basically learn or die, and this is what's been set. You understand? Like in this branch of timeline, like I said, we're not going back to like 1984 dystopian reality. That's not happening. That's been locked out. But we're not in this perfect holistic world either. So we're somewhere in between, and there's the settings of the system are different. The feedback is much faster. You can't get away with doing the evil. So the learning is accelerated, and but because this pressure has been applied so much that pressure doesn't really care whether somebody's gonna make it or not, right? It's just like, that's it. The jig is up, and if somebody's not gonna make it, that's okay. Their energy is still, their soul is gonna be helped. Their crap that they leave behind are gonna be alchemized. Everything's gonna be all right. But it's just like the end of the game cleanup that's going on. It is definitely not invitation to go like, oh, well, is everything going to shit, this apocalypse? I might as well just shoot myself with drugs and go partying all the time, and and do my fucking what do you call them? Burning Mans and whatever the fucking bullshit they do. They used, like, originally when they came up, it was nice. Now it's just completely corrupt nonsense and disgusting. You know. Anyway, I don't want to talk about this, but so that's this attitude of this Babylonian attitude is like, let's just be free and just give in to all of our vices. It's the worst thing that you can do. You understand? Because that shit's gonna wear off, and now all this vice-driven pleasure that you experience, it comes into you as a pain. What you gonna do with that then? Gonna go on another bender? So no, it's a horrible idea. In fact, it's an invitation to become even more responsible at this particular time. And myself in my life, like, I also thought, like, hey, I just want to retire. I don't want to fucking, like, what is this? I just want to avoid this thing. I could not avoid this thing. I had to take responsibility. I'm still taking responsibility, and I'm settling into this idea that, there's gonna be hard work, and I'm even just settling to this idea. It's like, okay, but if I do it right, things gonna be all right. And if I have to do this till the rest of my life, and I have to take this much responsibility, I'll do it. This escapism within me is kind of dying, and now I just want to do things right. That to me, it's the most important thing. It's like, what is right? And life may give me all sorts of situations that I fucked up in the past, but this time there is recognition. It's like, well, look, this is the same situation that you fucked up in the past. It's like, maybe you can do it right. And you do it right. The best thing you can do is just take responsibility when it's hardest to do so, and but look, like, by not trying to seek this reward and just being responsible, which means directly the management of your attention, meaning you respond to the need within your soul, like you respond with the need within your mind, you respond to the need within your body. It is being responsible human being. The opposite of Aleister Crowley's and other esoteric Muppets that engage in dark magic. Right? Because they were not lords of darkness. It's like, I'm the B66. No, you're a piece of shit. That's all you are. You just did something, whatever you wanted, without, thinking that you're going to get away with repercussions. You are not Lord of Darkness. To be Lord of Darkness, you first must be the Lord of the Light. That's the only thing. Darkness only responds to the light. It does not even resist it. So to be Lord of Darkness is not to give in to your vices, but be in face of all of that energy, all the temptations and everything, and still remain in the light. You see? That's when all the demons start dancing according to your tune. That is being the Lord of the Darkness. Ironically, it's the same thing as being the Lord of the Light. And it's this best place to be is in between this light and the darkness, but the darkness responds to you and becomes like a game. But for somebody to just give in to this, to the darkness, that's not Lord of Darkness. You understand? That's a slave of darkness. And so the highest position you take in this hierarchy of being evil, the more of a slave you are. Isn't it interesting? But to really fucking lord it over darkness, it takes someone entirely different. Somebody who can be in the dark and still alchemize it into the light. It's a different species. Those who are completely afraid of the dark and they never go in there, then of course that's not going to, make you into any kind of Lord of Darkness. Anyway, I hope you like my little babble. I just want to put things into order. All these gullible muppets are talking about this, but it's so simple. Well, we have to leave. Let the chips fall where they may, but play the game right. Why is it worth it? I mean, I've already described it. I've already explained it. It's the gems that you get. It's the gems that you discover to be you. In the deepest darkness, you discover the most sparkling thing within yourself. When you handle the deepest darkness, when you alchemize the deepest darkness. This is why, like this, people say like these attacks, when they happen, you can interpret them as an attack, but I don't. I interpret them as a work to be done. There's more work to be done. All right. Well, it means that there's more sparkles going to be. All right. Yeah. And I just forgot to say, I was talking about Krishnamurti. The train of thought kind of left me. But he said there's no cultivation, there's no progress. And he was pointing to the fact to stop seeking and start digging. But on this other side, there is clearly something that, because you're still in a temporal, yes, you touch the infinite, but on the side of a temporal where there's space-time and size, which is space, and time, which is the flow of energy, matters, there seems to be a progress. The more darkness you handle, the bigger the sparkles you get. There seems to be, because I've noticed that when this thing started, it was just a slight sparkles, subtle and slight. Now it's a different intensity. And I'm accustomed to this intensity. I'm getting accustomed to this intensity. So there seems to be a progress happening there automatically as you alchemize things. And that progress is registered with the memory that said, oh, that was lower intensity than this. Now, you can argue and say it's like, well, that's a trick of the mind because it's always going to feel like the intensity keeps on increasing. But that's just the mind comes in and labels it and says like, that's more than before, that's more than before, more than before, more than before. And I kind of agree with that. And then, but there's still a progress, right? It's the progress, infinite progress, but it's still a progress. Non-temporal progress. Because it's not a progress that you just complete, and this bar just fills it up and it's kind of done. It is always going and going and going and going and getting better and better and better and better and better. Which is a kind of, they call it trance logic, but that's the way you experience. That betterness comes from the newness. And I think it just gives an illusion of progress, of course. And the intensity is always there. It could be low or it could be high. And sometimes we go through high intensity and sometimes we go through low intensity. But the quality is there. And the quality is determined of how renewed this energy is, how renewed this feeling is, how new it feels, how sparkling and fresh it feels. And so that must be in the conscious of destroying something that is old and keep creating something that is new. So which means that the pattern that is being created is always different, but it's always adequate. And that's your soul. It's never the same. It is alive. If some people, for example, like hang out with me and we have a good time, whatever, have fun and everything, and now they're remembering that version of me. I mean, again, Krishnamurti was talking about how memory is a problem, and at the beginning, before you alchemize the energy, it is a problem. But after, when that spontaneity comes along, when that is formed, that energy, that pattern formed into the image and later into a symbol, that becomes a new memory, or future memory, if you will, or the memory of the future. There's nothing wrong to keep on calling that state. There's nothing wrong with that, right? It is a new state. It is something that every time you call it, it might be different, whatever. So the memory plays a big role after the alchemy is done. And by the way, you can't have magic or might without memory on this other side. So there is use for it, of course. And when you try to recall a feeling, you may do that by recalling an image that gave that feeling, and then there you're there. Or a symbol that gave an image gives a feeling, right? It's fascinating. It's there. But it's also you picking up of all the possible feelings that could happen. And when I say all the possible feelings, I really mean it. I mean, it's like all the possible permutations. And you're narrowing it down with that particular one because you have a preference for it. And that is how you settle in for that, right? However, it might be a completely new feeling that is uh, sprouting right now that could imbue that image or like a different image with refreshed feeling. Okay, so this is how you can keep things fresh. The same image, which is for example like a person, same image, and but keep on renewed feeling. That's why people say love, my god, like this the most difficult to describe thing, this most alive, most changing thing is love. But it is always changing. It must be always sort of like getting better if you're alchemizing. And every relationship that you have is that feeling that keeps on changing and changing and changing. That is what the relationship is that gem. And if it's changing for the better, and if of course there's some sort of blockage, you have to alchemize it and then you improve it. That's how you can keep having these relationships becoming better, better, and better. That's love. That's alive. It's not the same. Does that make sense? Anyway, now that's what I'm looking at, and this is what I'm investigating. This is a perpetual learning game. Interesting. Another thing I want to mention is quite interesting is that anything you want to change in life, for whatever reason, that's your desire. But you cannot change it unless first you zero it out or a certain type of acceptance that takes place. And the energy you're subconsciously no longer contributed for that to be the case. This dark passion, that fear energy is no longer there. Now, with your imagination, you can imagine something that you do want, but you cannot go there directly. If something is still bothering you, zero it out until there's no energy connotation. And by the way, like to me, what's been bothering me is this uh, negligent attitude towards the change of times that's taking place and insistence on doing things the old way, meaning do as you will, right? And there's clear feedback that's coming, and there's that insistence. That's kind of bothering me, right? That's possibly bothering me because there's part of me that's also been doing the same thing, which caused me a lot of bullshit. And it is a type of caring, but it's not the useful type of caring. It's like it does come from not wanting somebody else to go, the fucked up way. But at the same time, that concern is a better word, is actually what makes it to be more prevalent. So I have to take that energy away from that and say, all right, look at this dysfunction, alchemize any kind of zero it all out. It's like, well, people are being crazy and doing stupid ass shit. Does that bother me? And if it is, I'll alchemize it. And if it doesn't anymore, then all right, how do I want to live my life? And so something's going on and people are talking about this and that, and you're like, all right, I guess some people are still going that way. But you can't ever retire from trying to convince them otherwise. There's a bit of a fate of like, ultimately it's gonna be all right. Like the the more I take out my energy from it, the more the universe is going to teach him a lesson. So I don't have to do this. I don't have to, waste my energy. The only thing that I have to be concerned is my life, and my relationships and my status and my all these things. You see, and if that is quality and if that is healthy, doesn't matter what happens. Like, you have the best possible effect on the rest of the reality if it is so. You know. So that's the nature of the game. Thy will be done is the whole of the law. You can scratch that. Do as thy wilt as just the failed meanderings of belligerent fool. All right, guys. Peace, and I'll see you in the next one.